Hello everyone, it looks like we are live. Make sure audio is working before I get too far. So I'm just gonna sit here and ramble. Assuming you can hear me, after we do the artwork portion of tonight, I've got a video. I did take a clip earlier today to show you what the studio looks like so far. I have 3 out of 4 of the gallery glass, so it looks like stained glass windows done. Super excited. You can kind of see there's a little bit of a change around here. I'm starting to put down my area rugs. Actually, the main one that'll be down there is still wet because it was in the washer. But I'm getting there. The studio is finally like so much stuff. I can't wait to show you guys. So I'll show you guys that after we get going. So tonight I'm going to be working in Derwent Inktense. Now this, as usual, you can bid on this if you would like to own this fantasy Seahorse yourself, but keep in mind, not all of the Derwent Inktense are Lightfast. So if you buy this, you need to go into it knowing that. I don't normally sell Inktense because of that. I sell prints. This one should make for a really nice print. But in case you guys are aware enough, if you're watching me, chances are you're quite aware of how all of this works with Inktense. So, you know, you're buying knowing some of these colors may fade. Ideally, anytime I use Inktense, I would recommend frame it behind UV protecting glass. I've not had anything I've done in Inktense fade in the last, when did I start using it? Maybe around 2013, 2014-ish, right around there. The stuff I've done back then is still looking great. Use distilled water because who knows what the heck is in our tap water? Well, we know, and it's a lot of crap. So that could potentially discolor or cause fading in addition to already colors that are maybe not so light fast, but putting it behind UV glass is certainly going to help. So if you do buy this, you are going to want to do that. This will come in a black matte, so just so you can see, it's going to actually crop a lot of that out, but as I paint, I'm gonna pull the paint all the way off to the edge. That way I can position the mat, move it up or down or to the side a little bit, and I don't worry about, I didn't quite get paint all the way around the edges. Not really paint, I'll probably keep calling it paint. It's technically water-soluble ink, but there we go. Okay, I think we are good. So one of the things that I'm really excited about, I changed out the table that I usually have my palette and everything on. Now it's this big kitchen island. No one would guess this was a master bedroom of the house. Like nothing about this is master bedroom-y, which was my goal. But it is huge. It's like the best workbench. So if you are looking, for anything in your own art studio, I should put a link in the video description. But if you're looking for something that you could put your palette on, that you've got a little bit of a workbench there, check out kitchen islands. They're so much cheaper than actual art things. I was looking at, what are they called? Somethings. They're for art, for your palette, for all your stuff. And they don't look nearly as nice, and they're not like, they're way more money. This was so much cheaper, and it's huge. So, and you can get them in different sizes. I got the big one this time, so I'm gazing lovingly at it like it's my new BFF. But the cool thing is my camera now, the palette, it's just, everything is set up so much nicer than it was before. So anyway, again, can't wait to show you after. Okay, let's stop talking and get started. So with the Inktense, as usual, I'm going to start with the Inktense blocks. Now, one of the things that I have seen quite a few, whose birthday is it? Happy birthday, whoever just said it's their birthday. Sheila Hubbard, happy birthday. But anyway, I got distracted by happy birthdays. Where were we going with this? Oh, so one thing, and I meant to test this before the live stream, but I didn't get a chance. Let's do a test now. I'm gonna do it on a piece of the same paper I'm working on. I didn't know this because I don't paint on fabric, but apparently Inktense, some of you have complained that your Inktense, because it's supposed to be permanent when dry, that it was still reactivating, and it really shouldn't. My theory is I use a lot of the hair dryer, but the hair dryer will set, that's how you set the Inktense on fabric so that it's permanent. I'm wondering if that's the difference of the people who are having it smudge more. They're not using as high heat as I am. So that might be the reason. And just in case, I'm going to do a quick little sample. We're going to test this later. We'll use a dark color because it'll be more obvious how much it smudges. So I'm going to get some dark blue here. I am just putting that on there, and we'll see how much this smudges. I'm going to put a few coats. Make sure it's on there really good. Rinse that out, and let me take a hairdryer to that, and we're going to leave this to dry. I'm just using the hairdryer there. can see, I go pretty close with Inktense. I see that, fly me to the moon. I'll get that in just a second. Let me get my other sample and set this to the side to dry. So I dried that with a hairdryer. I probably could go a little bit longer. I usually use the hairdryer just to speed things up, but it never crossed my mind that that might be the reason I don't have the issue with the smudging. I don't know. This is a test we're going to find out live. So I'm just going to load that. Mostly the same color. Okay, and I'm going to leave the second one just to air dry. And then later on tonight, once that's all dry, we'll test that and see if it made a difference. It's a theory. I don't know. We're just gonna find out. And also, we have from Fly Me to the Moon said, feed the pups. Let's start out right. Do you boys want a super chat? Does that sound good? Oh, you can't see you in the camera here. I may have to, I've got to redo some of the cameras in here for sure. I've got to work on the ambient lighting still and do some work on cameras. That was a little chompy there, sir. Thank you so much. Was that good? Okay, go lay down. You too. It's weirdly quiet in here, and I can't figure out, I had music going earlier of Alice in Chains Woods stuck in my head forever. But one of the best songs ever. I don't know why it feels weird in my studio, like it's super quiet. Dart frogs? I don't know. Okay. Or maybe it's less echoey with the carpets on the floor. I don't know. It just feels very odd. Okay, so we are going to start with the background. Actually, I take that back. I'm going to line him out with black first, dry that, and that way when I start painting the background in, if I get some on the Seahorse, I don't lose my lines. So let's make my life easier. Let me grab a new paintbrush. Okay, seriously, I am loving this setup so much more than the way I used to have this. It is so much easier to see my brushes. And no, I'm not going to shut up about the upgrades. I'm so excited. I don't know which of these brushes is going to be easier. Probably this one. Some of these I'll need a liner brush on. So again, distilled water is what's in my little cups over here. I don't know which one was black. One of these should be. So one of the problems with Inktense, I mean, it's not really a problem, but we need to figure out, yep, that one is black. So I'm going to pull you over here. So this is a fantasy one. This is much more stylized, so I'm actually going to line everything with him in black. And I'm not pushing very hard. The harder you push, the thicker that line will be. In this reference photo, it's a digital painting, but you can use that as your reference. It's available over on Patreon. It's free though. You don't have to be a member to grab that. Link is in the video description. I've also included the line art. We can all thank Fly Me to the Moon, who encouraged me. Well, actually, a lot of people have been asking for line art. Normally, I don't provide it because I feel it's better for you to trace your actual reference photo, not line art. But if you feel that that's something you need and that it's really going to help you, Fly Me to the Moon showed me, she did a demonstration for me on how much more helpful that it was for her, and so she convinced me to go ahead and start providing that for you guys. So moving forward, I will be providing line art for all of the Patreon lessons. I will probably slowly start going back to older ones and making line art for them. I cannot do line art for anything that I use like wildlife reference photos for. I mean, I can, but you have to prove to me, like show me the receipt that you bought that too. Otherwise, I'm breaking their rules. I cannot just provide it for everyone unless you've actually purchased that photo. But Yeah, that's one of the new things I will be doing. So everyone who needed those, thank Fly Me to the Moon. I've been fighting that one for years because I really do think it's better for most artists. I mean, I've seen this firsthand. You learn to draw better by tracing a photo. If you trace my line drawing, every time you, like, my line drawing is never going to be perfect to the photo. So then you trace mine and you're even less perfect to the photo. So there's that, but it also makes a difference in how much you learn. You definitely, I think, learn more from tracing that photo. So if you're going to use the line art, go ahead and use it, but don't use it forever. Just use it in the beginning until you kind of get the hang of which lines you think will be helpful to you. And I don't care if this is perfectly black. You can see some of it's a little bit more faded. I will be going back through this with the black Inktense pencil to really darken it up once I get everything else filled in. Once he's painted. This may take a lot longer than I planned just because that's a lot of detail. Actually, the way I glaze over it, it probably won't be that bad. We can all thank Dolphin Soul was the one who wanted the seahorse in the style that the one on my stained glass or gallery glass window was. See how this one got way darker? It doesn't even matter. None of that is the final color there. I thought having my palette, because it's further this way, it used to be over here, now it's farther away to the side, but it's like, this is way easier to see. This is the first time I've gotten a chance to, since I set this up, to paint anything. So, I mean, besides the digital Seahorse. So yeah, I am super excited. This is working out way better than I thought it was. I should have gotten a kitchen island. Well, technically the last one I had was a kitchen island. It was just a tiny, dinky one. I just can't, I kept pricing the different art type tables, tabaret, something. I can't get over, if it is listed for art, how expensive it is. I'm just gonna get paint all over that. I mean, okay, I paid a lot for this easel. That was a big splurge for me, but I saved up for a while for that one. But it has like crank, it has all these features that make sense. Like as an artist, you want a good easel, but a table's a table. This one has drawers and little shelves, and like, I just am so happy. Yeah, I will show you, Fly Me to the Moon. I'll show you what I got. I'll also link it in the Discord for Patreon, the one, but although actually I got it on Wayfair. I've got the link because it's still in my Amazon cart, but I found it for cheaper on Wayfair. It ended up being $3.99 on Wayfair. But, which for what I got, when you see it, and I'll show you too at the end in the video, you'll see it, but I'll post a link to the actual one. It's definitely worth it. Like, I still can't get over how much those artist ones cost. Okay, so now I'm going to rinse my brush out. We're going to, and the brush I'm using, so the Faber-Castell graphite aquarelle, the water-soluble graphite pencils, they come with this brush when you get the set. It is my favorite brush for Inktense water-soluble graphite. I like it for watercolor. Like, I don't know, this is the most magical, perfect brush. Thank you, Faber-Castell, but please sell them separately because I don't know why. It is amazing. Weird, there is a tiny mark. Hold on, I need to make sure that doesn't go all the way through because You guys are actually bidding on this. I don't care if there's a scratch in the paper, that's fine. I just need to make sure that scratch doesn't go all the way through. Did a razor blade cut through that paper? Because if it did, I gotta do it again. No, it doesn't go through. What is that from? There's like a weird little line there. You won't see it in the painting. I just wanted to make sure, because if that went through, it's like slightly scored. We're fine. I just need to retape it. I just had to double check on that. Hold on, where's my tape? I don't know where everything is. I've been reorganizing all my stuff. Is it on the table? Oh, it's still on the table. That would have really sucked if that had scored all the way through that paper. Okay, back to taping it down. So this is 300 pound, I think this is not listed right in my description. This is the, maybe it is, the Arches 300 pound, no, it's Fabriano Artistico, it's the old one, because I don't really buy that anymore. Now I buy Arches, but it's the old Fabriano Artistico Extra White Hot Press 300 pound watercolor paper, because I still have not used, I bought them a year ago, and I have not used my, what is it, the auto stretchers. I certainly need to get those or try those out. I keep forgetting to get the, I want to soak to stretch the paper in distilled water, just keeping everything distilled and as archival as possible. And I keep forgetting to get the little containers to do that in. By little, I mean actually kind of big. Okay. So let's tape that back down though, so in case it does warp a little bit, we will dry flat. We've got from Tessa, says more fun for the pups. Do you boys want a super chat? Thank you, Tessa. Oh, that sounds good, huh? Okay. There. Ow, don't be so chompy. Gentle. That's much nicer. Good boys. Yeah, bad cow's been chompy again. Okay, go lay down. Thank you so much, Tessa. Lay down. This is nice too. Like you can see they've got a clear path over to their beds where before that thing stuck out. No, I'm never going to stop talking about the studio changes because it's different and weird to me now. Okay. Again, if you want to leave any of your questions, I will be answering those at the end of the live stream. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, is dry that completely, making sure it's really dry. This is a 5x7, but the paper itself is quite a few inches bigger, just so I have room to tape it down and to tape it to the mat. That should be perfectly dry. Okay, what I'm going to do is wet the background first. I want that to stay pretty wet. Now this honestly is easier to work. Watercolor Inktense, it's always going to be easier flat. Because of my back, that's not a good option for me. Although, with all I've done on these windows, looking down, I'm surprised I haven't been as sore as I thought. So maybe I should try it one of these days. But I'm going to, my brain just totally shut off. I have to not use quite as much water because it will run. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to bring one of my little things of water over here, is get this wet. Actually, let's choose colors so that is ready to go. I want, actually this navy blue I've been using is really pretty. It's kind of an indigo. So let's pull you to the side. I don't need black right now. This teal should work. Don't need white. I do need a green. Which green? Let me see what this looks like. So I'm just going to take a piece of paper. Whenever I'm working with Inktense, I always take that and I'm just going to, actually I can do it here. I'm just going to get that a little bit wet and just test the color. Maybe. Kind of want more of an olivey green. What about you? You might be too olive. Oh, you're dang near brown. Huh, when I say dang near, it probably tricks you guys into thinking I don't say swear words at all, huh? It sounds so innocent. Let's try you. You're much closer. I'm thinking a combination of this one and the first one that I tried together. I think those two will give me the look I want. So I've got an indigo, a teal, and then just an olivey green, and then more of a Kelly green. Those are not the names of the colors. I have no idea what the names of the colors are because Inktense blocks. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and let's start with the, oh wait, no, we're going to start by putting water on this. We have to work kind of fast to make sure this doesn't start to dry. And ideally, if I am careful and I don't paint over the Seahorse, not much of the color will get on him. So it just makes my life a little easier later. Some is because I'm not being that careful, but you know, in an ideal world, I would slow down. I'm just using a filbert. This one is a Mimic Creative Mark 1/2" filbert. With Inktense, I find that I can use harsher brushes, like my Taklon bristled filberts, than when I work with watercolor. With watercolor, I like them to be a little bit softer. But with Inktense, the brushes are, I don't find to be as picky as watercolor. I know you can't, it doesn't look like I'm doing anything. I'm just getting water on that paper. And this, I'm going for a more loose style. So if it ends up being a bit messy, that actually is fine. I'm not trying to keep this super clean. Just trying to see the angle, or change the angle so I can see the areas that are wet. Okay, so I'm going to start with the greens, and I'm just lifting that palette. Yeah, that palette is working. Or camera. I'm adding some water, keeping that really light. If that paper isn't wet, you're not going to get this soft look. I want some of that white of the paper showing through. And now I'm going to get more of the Inktense block on my brush, so not quite as much water where I want it to be, start getting a bit darker as I move my way down. Don't overblend that. Like, see how I've got some harsh lines in there? Great, leave those. We want some variation in there. I'm going to start grabbing some of the olive green too. Let that run into a few of these. I'm going to start pulling in some of the indigo and teal blues. That is a pretty color. Seriously, whoever gets this, make sure that's behind UV glass and do not let this hang where there is direct light. Indigo has a tendency, but not all of them, but indigo itself. Now, I can't say that's actually indigo, but usually indigos, this could just be phthalo blue, but they have a tendency to have some light fast issues with watercolor. So I would assume it would be the same with Inktense. But I don't know that this is actually an indigo, because they are not marked. Actually, there are numbers on them, but once you've been using them for a while, you can't see the numbers really anymore. And I'm reloading that brush with a little bit of water to keep that wet around the Seahorse. Now, you can use masking fluid, and then you just paint over everything. You can be super sloppy. Masking fluid is its own drama. Like, it just takes a while, and something like this, where it's a looser style anyway, it didn't seem like it made a whole lot of sense to bother with it. I'm grabbing some teal, some blue, so I'm getting a mixture of both of these. If you are not aware, if you have Derwent Inktense with the dolphin or the sea turtle on it, that is my artwork. That is how much I love Derwent Inktense. I am on the cover of their tin. Well, not me, but my painting. Close enough. I'd rather my artwork than me be on the cover. That would be weird. And because I'm keeping this wet, that just kind of, you get that really soft look in there. I want to get some variation where some of these areas are a lot darker than others, so I'm just going to keep layering this up. But this has to be, if it starts to dry, that background, you just don't get this look. So this is what I mean, you've got to go pretty quick. Now, if I was working really large, I would go ahead and use masking fluid for that, just so that I had time for a background this big. Okay, and let's get the look of, I'll grab some of these colors. I'm just gonna start getting the look of a little bit of seaweed in there, in the background. I don't want it to be as harsh as my reference photo is. I definitely want that to be a bit softer. So this is just kind of a tan olivey color. Now, Inktense white, if you want to lighten something, Inktense white will do that for you. The white block works better, but it gets really, really opaque. So be aware of that. Anywhere you put it, it goes on translucent, and when it dries, it's super opaque. Now we're just getting that hint of seaweed. I'm going to rinse the brush, and I'm going to switch back to the more Kelly green looking color. I need that background to be a little bit more wet again, so I will take a clean brush. Now, unlike watercolor, that is not going to really reactivate, but it is going to allow the Inktense to spread, kind of how watercolor does on, well, wet into wet painting. Okay, I want to pull a little bit of a purpley color. I've got one back here that should work. Just get a little bit of variation in here. There's the sound I was missing, the dart frogs. Speaking of, two of my tadpoles finally, after way too long, popped their little legs, and they're hopping around now and eating springtails. It's really cute. So I will have more of those soon for the bigger vivarium I'm going to build for them. Okay. The splatter of white I'm not going to do yet. We'll wait until the seahorse is in, because I want a lot of that over the seahorse too. So I'm going to dry that. if you want more defined, like if you look at the reference photo, I've got a few more defined like hints of coral in there. We can do that with the blocks by drawing them in, but I'm gonna wait until we get the seahorse in and then I'll balance everything out and see what adjustments I might want. Now I wanna use a lot of the same colors that I've already been using on the seahorse with the addition of some orange and yellow. So let's pull a couple of those out. We've got a peach color out already that's gonna be perfect. Okay. I'm going to start with the peach. Actually, I'm not even going to use that one. I'm going to use a lighter orange. This one looks pretty. I'm using a decent amount of water. Now in this case, I'm not, well, I guess I could let it bleed a little bit. So we'll go ahead and get it wet to keep it closer to what my reference photo was. And now I'm going to move into some of the pinks and purples on the edges. I need more purple. There we go. And I'm thinking about using my gold watercolor to put some highlights on the seahorse. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen to make him even better. I know it's not Inktense, but they are compatible and it would be beautiful. And I'm on this gold kick lately anyway, so there's that. I'm going to wait for the white highlights to lighten some of this. We'll come back to that. I'm going to do the same thing on the fins. I love these over-exaggerated fin style. Like, that looks so cool. I want a seahorse that looks like that. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take some of that orange. It's kind of an orangey yellow. You can see the black isn't really smudging my lines that I initially did. They pretty much stay put. Pull some pink. Now, with Inktense, if you want the color to be lighter, use more water and let the white of the paper show through. We can come back through with highlights with white, but it gives you a very different look. This is, I would recommend doing more like we would with watercolor, where you're letting the white of the paper create more of those highlights. So just thin it with more water. Pulling some purple now. Ooh, that is dark. And then I'm going to let that bleed together. Kind of slapping some color on there, making a muddy mess intentionally for this area. Pull a little bit around the face in here. We've got some yellow. And then that fades out into the violets and purples. So we'll come back to those. I am going to need more purple. There we go. And some more purple. Now I need to get this area wet so that this will all blend. So we'll just slop some water in there. We've got some green, and this is more of that olive green. I want to use the same green I used in the background, or at least one of the colors, so it all feels like it mixes together. You've got to be careful using as many colors as I'm doing here. You will create mud, which is fine. Those are going to be my shadows, but be careful because if you over mix it, you are going to make a muddy hot mess of not cute. Technical artist terms. Now I want to start pulling some of the blue. Same that I used in the background. See, I'm just letting them kind of mix together, but don't over blend it too. Not too many brush strokes. I'm just letting them mix together on their own. And I'm going to pull some more of that purple. On the underside here. His eye will be filled in darker once I get the pencils out. That's pretty good. I think most everything else will be with the pencils and splattering the white paint, which I can technically do now. Okay, let's dry this and splatter some paint or ink. So when I dry this, I'm not going just to where it's like dry to the touch. I go to where it's dry and shrunk back down into place. So that's part of my goal there. And that might be, let's see, is this dry all the way? Still feels a little bit, no, they feel the same. Let's test that theory right now while we're at it. The one I tried earlier. So this top one, I dried with the hairdryer. This one I did not. And what I want to see is, does it reactivate more the one that did not dry with a hairdryer? So I'm going to use a brush that's a little bit scratchy. So we can see it does smudge out a bit. Does this one smudge out more though? Not really. A little bit. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit. Okay, that theory is not totally the experiment. I don't want to say it failed. Maybe it's a little bit more, but not a lot. I think the difference is, and I used a really scratchy brush intentionally that I knew would dig in there to give me the best, like the more obvious change. Let's see what it would do with the brush I'm actually painting with. Almost nothing. It's still not a whole lot. It is a little bit more where I didn't seal with the hairdryer, but it doesn't make that big of a difference. So again, this brush that I'm using the lighter hand, look at how much it doesn't go that much. This one, the reason, so I'm thinking that when people have it spread like that, this is a rougher brush and I'm scrubbing it. I'm really working back and forth to make that happen. So I'm guessing then it's not an issue of the heat, because even that one's doing it. I think then it's an issue of the type of brush and just too many brush strokes, too much blending. If you use a light hand, and I guess kind of similar to watercolor. I mean, you can work over watercolor without reactivating it too much in glazes. This you can certainly do more. It doesn't lift nearly like watercolor would, but anyway, there was my experiment. It did not end how I thought it would. Was just a theory, but there we go. We have from Tessa said, let's give Bad Cow another chance to be gentle. I don't know. He looks pretty bad to me. Do you guys want a super chat? Tessa's testing you now, so be a good cow. Do not bite my hand to get your treat. There's one for you. We're going to be gentle. Yeah, I held my hand to the side to kind of, we tricked him into being gentle. Okay, I don't think you would have been gentle if I wasn't holding it that way, but whatever, you worked. Okay, go lay down, boys. Lay down. 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 Thank you for the slobber. Is appreciated, Gibson. Wait, lay down. Thank you, Tessa. Lay down. Lay down. All the way down. Got to decide which camera. Oh, I'm missing my tea. I definitely need this. You guys, hold on 1 second. I absolutely need some tea. Boys will keep you company. It's in the fridge. I knew I missed something. I can't be without tea. Seeing you guys. Sorry. But seriously, it's good. Okay, tonight we have decaf green with honey, which I think I said I had. I just forgot to bring it in with me. Okay. The world, all is right in the world now. Okay, back. So now we are going to switch. Oh, no, wait, we're not switching. I'm going to use my Inktense, the white. So let me put these back and pull the white over. So what I'm going to do, I do want to take a fairly stiff brush this time. So I don't want to use one of my water media brushes. Let me see what I've got down here. Redoing the studio, I found so much. You know how I've been looking, speaking of, I'm going to need a palette. No, I have them here. I can never find a palette knife. I have like 30 of them I found while I was redoing the studio, like in random locations. I have them all in a little cup up there now, so I can easily find them. I can't reach them. They're too high up, but I know where they are, and that's what matters, right? Okay. I'm going to take a slightly more stiff brush than my watercolor brush to make this mixture, and I'm just throwing water. You can see here. I'm going to make a mostly white. And white, when it goes on, when I splatter this, you're not going to see it that much. You need to trust that it's there, wait for it to dry, and then decide if you want more. Because it would be very easy to overdo this, not realizing once it dries that it gets that opaque. So I know my hands are in the way, but I'm just mixing. So I've got this little puddle of white now. I'm going to rinse that brush off. And I'm switching to a more stiff brush. This guy is pretty rough, and so it's going to flick better. And I do want a little bit of water in there. And a palette knife. And I am just, I'm going to move my phone because that is definitely going to get paint all over it. Flicking this all over. This is going to give me a really cool atmosphere. See, I was ready to put more because I think it needs more, but I need to dry this to find out if it really needs more or not. So down here is pretty good. I do want some more up here though, so let's do that. Yeah, and flick the brush. You want to pull the palette knife towards you. If you push it away from you, you will get paint all in your face. You can't really see it. I think it's too thin. Let's mix some more water with that. My dots are going to be really little. And you want variation, but I want to get a few globs. There we go. There are the globs I'm looking for. Okay, let's try that again, and then we'll switch to the Inktense pencils and start cleaning everything up. I really can't wait for the gold watercolor portion. That is gonna look so cool. Okay, now let's move these out of the way for now. Wanna know a dirty secret? So you guys know my artwork is on the tin of these. I still have the old tins though. I have so many things of Inktense, but I'm like, these are my original, like the very first Inktense I had, and I still use them. Don't judge. They last a really long time. What can I say? Okay. I usually hide that so you can't see that I'm not using the one with my art on it. I want to frame the ones with my art. Oh, I could mount those in here. Have a spot on my wall. Oh, Tessa gave a treat for Chicken. Thank you. I'm going to give the boys an extra though when we get Chicken is definitely going to appreciate that. He's been really funny in the mornings. I've been leaving him out longer when I wake him up, when I give him their veggies and stuff. He's been really cute. Okay, that story is not very exciting. What do I need? White. Do I not have the white? I may not have the white pencil out, but I did find them. I know where they are from organizing stuff this week. I have a lot of them. Is it this one or this one? One of these two drawers. Inktense Antique White. I bought so many boxes of these. And apparently then I bought more, and then I bought some more because I couldn't find them. Kind of like phthalo green. I'll show you when I show you the studio updates. I got a towel bar and hung all my Liquitex Basics acrylic paints with S-hooks, and it's so amazing. I can find everything now. Turns out I have like 7 things of phthalo green because I kept thinking I was out and then buying more and thinking I was out and buying more. Okay, so white Inktense pencil. I'm going to use this to start with some of these highlights. I'm also going to use this to better define. That's not really showing up that well. Oh, a little bit, yeah. I want to make some of these white globs a little bit more defined. Oh, we have from Rebecca's art for the puppies a $5 super chat. Do you boys want a super chat? Thank you so much. The boys definitely thank you. Okay, we're gonna practice not chomping mom's hand. There, you're easy. You're no problem. Be a good boy. Nice. That was very gentle. Good boy. Even if you are the baddest of cows. I know you're very bad. Okay, go lay down. No one's listening to me give you kisses and stuff. Go lay down. It gets weird. Okay. So, white. I'm just going to define, and I'm kind of going around some of these, like making little, that one made a little heart. Some of this gets, a lot of this gets blocked off with the matte. Okay, I want to start pulling in some highlights. So we'll use the white for this. Some of this I think I'm going to use the Inktense block to brighten it up even more. We'll see. Now, Inktense pencils, for the most part, the majority of them are going to make everything darker, not lighter. Like if you use a colored pencil, and you can use colored pencil on top of Inktense, it doesn't stick as well as watercolor. If I'm doing mixed media, I certainly like watercolor and colored pencil better together than Inktense and colored pencil. But you can go on top of it with the colored pencil. It's just, I don't know why, it's almost like it's more slick. It doesn't give a lot of grip. I need black. Do I have black? I may not have that in here either. So that's just something to be aware of, that it is going to darken stuff instead of lightening it. And where is black? That is gray. Luckily, I have a bunch of those too. I just found that when I was cleaning, and I thought that's a stupid location for my black Inktense pencil. I'll stick it here so I don't lose it. And now it's lost. Was it up here? Nope. I will look for that later. Oops, I'm going to throw my pencil on the floor. Thank God it's not Prismacolor, so it's still intact. Inktense blocks. Antique white. And yes, there's the black one. Oh, it's weird being organized and being able to find stuff. I think that feels weirder than anything else with all the changes I've made in here. If you have not updated your art studio or art space, and your art space can be anything, like for most of my life, it was a corner in my bedroom. But if you've not organized that or rearranged stuff in a while, I'm telling you, it will motivate you. It always has. It's not just this time. But it makes me want to be in this space more. It's more fun. Okay, so here's the black. Do I have, nope, I don't have my color pencil or my sharpeners over here. And, oh, what did I do with the jar that I used to keep my pencil shavings in? Now that might have gotten, I think I ended up using it for something else, like all of these palette knives. We're just gonna steal this. I need more mason jars. I did find that out. I have so much stuff that I want to put in mason jars and not enough of them. Okay, let me sharpen these. I'm just using a little metal comb sharpener. Actually, is this one comb? Yeah, that one's comb. Ooh, it's new. It's sharpening. Nice. Okay, so I'm just going to start going around and doing the details. And look how dark that gets. So this is going to give me a much darker look than what the Inktense block gives me. I'm going to go right over, and this also cleans it up really nicely. But I find if you don't do the Inktense block first, this ends up looking kind of grainy, gritty-ish. That block, like together, doing one and then the other just works really well. Now I have to be careful. If I go through and start blending out with water, I've got to be careful around anywhere where I put the black, because the black will smudge into that. And I don't mind if it smudges a little bit. It's just something you want to be aware of and watch for. Did I mention how excited I am to put the gold over parts of this? Like just a little bit of detail. It's going to look so cool. Now, because these go darker, you could also use like a dark plum color, anything to line this, and it's going to be really dark. It'll give you a really cool look. Actually, I think I'm going to do that for some of these centers. I didn't do it on intentionally pulling that through, but I think I'm going to lighten that up. Let's grab a purpley color. Oh, I like how that fades from one to the next. So this is the, what is this? Deep rose. That I can tell you the color on. It's actually marked. I'm pushing really hard with this. I want nice, crisp lines. And these are really firm, so they handle those lines really well. Like you can push pretty hard. Not to say I've never broken any. And that looks nice layering over the black too. I'm going to do that up here as well. And then let the black, I'll fade that out from the outer edge of the fin to make it look like I've got all kinds of fancy shading and stuff. So just around the edges, I'm pulling that in. So see, it fades from the black into that purple. I don't know, it may all look black to you on the camera. It's a subtle detail, but it looks nice. And I think I'm gonna go with a darker purple for the circles. This one is Thistle. Thistle's purple, really? I don't know what color I thought Thistle was, but it wasn't purple. And I can do the same thing, pulling black. I wasn't even planning. I planned on all of this being black, but just from when I started playing with putting the edges, just to go through quickly, I realized I liked how it looked better, lighter in the center. Gibson, lay down. I don't know what you think you are doing getting up. He's like, I thought I was going to come get treats. Actually, he's usually the good, like my well-behaved one. Last week I left the treats on the floor and came back in. He found them and was helping himself. He's never done that before. So the only solution to that was to give Wade some more so it could be even. I mean, if Gibson got extras, Wade should get extras too, because why wouldn't you reward bad behavior with, well, treats? Okay. Wow, that looks really cool. Okay. We've got some lines and details around here. A little bit of shading. So this is fun because now we can just come through and do shading, and it's up to you if you want to blend that out with water or not. If you do, the line is going to look a lot different, way more rich, but be careful because remember we've got black all over the place lining things, but we can get some more definition in here. Anywhere where you think you might want it just to be a little bit darker. I don't want to go crazy though, because I actually really like where it's at right now. Just a little bit more shading. So I'm pulling some of the purple here around the fin. And Inktense are fun. I mean, I'm doing something that's very stylized, very kind of cartoony now, sort of. But you can also do things that are super realistic. That was one of the things I had fun with when I first started playing with them, because all I was seeing were people doing like cartoony style stuff. Not that that's not absolutely fun. Obviously, that's what I'm doing now, and I love this look. But they can do a lot. Like they're so much you can do with them, and they're a very fast medium. So even though I typically don't, I mean, this one's available for auction, but I don't typically sell the work because of not all the colors are light fast. The only reason I'm comfortable doing that is I'm able to tell you guys and explain what that means before you bid. But you can make prints. They photograph so beautifully. They're one of the easiest mediums to get really good photographs of. So a lot of reasons that even though you guys know how important light fastness is to me, I still choose to use this medium because it's super fun. But it's fast, you can do all kinds of styles, and it photographs really well for selling prints. So the prints are what I typically sell of any Inktense work. And I want to go back to that lighter pink again. I'm going to pull a little bit of shading, not too crazy. Now, ideally, you don't want to work these pencils over anywhere that's wet. Take the hairdryer to it and dry those areas first so you don't damage the tooth of the paper, and it keeps, the results will actually be better. It doesn't work it doesn't look very smooth when you go over something that's wet. Okay, I am loving how he came out. I need to get some more splatters on him though. I think I'm gonna just paint them on so that I've got more control. Now, typically when I do the splatter, whether it be stars or sand, I like to do the splatters versus trying to paint it on individually, because otherwise you end up with something that does not look natural. But then going over and doing a few individual spots typically works out fine, as long as it's mostly done with splattering to keep it natural looking. Okay, back to the Inktense block. And I've already got water mixed, so I can just pull from that. I also wanted a little bit more highlighting anyway here, right down the center. Let's try that and see where we're at. Where you want some definite white highlights. But again, keep sitting here drying it because it gets so opaque. Now, I don't find Inktense to be as picky as watercolor about using clean water. I mean, I use distilled water and it's mostly clean, but it can be pretty, I don't know, just the way the pigment is, it's just not as moody about using slightly dirty water as watercolor is. I'm going to put a swirl there that I'm missing. Scooch his nose up a little bit there. I wanted that to be a bit bigger, more of a dish face. Okay, let's grab the gold watercolor paint. And then I'm going to do a little bit more with the lines. And I was going to put more coral in there, but I don't know if I want it. Maybe some gold. Let's see. I've got rich gold, pale gold. I think I want more of the yellowy. And rich pale gold. Yeah, that one actually looks really pretty. Let's grab the palette. I'm gonna have to clean that out. Let's have this little ceramic palette for watercolor. I'm just gonna take a clean brush and wipe out one of these sections. So I don't want to mix the white in with it. I'm pretty sure that's the Doc Martens pH. I'm saying all that in the wrong order, white, so it would be really opaque, and I don't want that. Now, a common question is, can you use watercolor and Inktense together? You can, but besides a case like this where I'm using the gold because it'll be shimmery, I don't really know why you'd want to. Like, it's not a mixed media that makes a ton of sense to me. Okay, so now I've just wiped that out. Got one little clean section. And I've got my aqua bronze. This is the rich pale gold. This stuff is so pretty. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that powder. I'm just going to tip a little. Whoop, that's a lot. A little bit goes a long way on these. And I recommend, if you like the look of this, the gold stuff, it's cheaper if you buy it. They have a set of like 5 colors or something like that. It's cheaper to do it that way than to buy them individually like my genius self did. I didn't think I'd like it, so I got one, and then I was like, well, now I want this. Now I want them all. Save the money, just get them all. You're going to want them. Okay. I'm just going to use that same brush, and all I have to do is mix a little bit of water in with that. Look how, oh, there we go. Look how pretty. I mean, that is like metallic gold. So pretty. And I just want to hit a few spots to make it kind of shimmery. Wow, you can't really see in the video. I'll see on the other camera if I can get that to look. That looks so cool. I'm going right around the edges here. I'm not filling in the entire section. I don't know, that just makes it, it gives it like, I'm gonna say magical because it sounds so floofy, but it gives it a magical feel. Like it's glitter, essentially. I mean, well, it's more metallic than glitter, but whatever. I'm going with magical. Now, this doesn't photograph well. I mean, I can get a photo, but you're really not getting the effect of the gold in a photo that you would in person, obviously. Okay, I think that's all I want for that. So let's put that to the side, do a little bit more work with the pencils, and this guy will be done. Oh, I was thinking about doing, no, I don't think I want to do the coral with that. I'm trying to decide if I even want to do any more with the coral. I really like the softness of this. Let's see, let's try this and see what it looks like with the matte. Let's see, with the matte, yeah, I think that anything extra would be weird. I love the way the splatters are hitting, and I think I originally had the coral designed in there, but I think I made my Seahorse a little bit bigger. That looks too good. That I love. Wait, right there. Oh, I'm super happy with this. Okay, let me actually, while this is held in place, I can sign it, and then I've got a few more dark areas to touch up. Where are my other pencils? I lost them. So let's pull right there. And I want to hold the mat up when I sign it. Otherwise, you can't. I would probably sign here, and I would be off. You can see how much room I have between where I signed and that bottom. By holding the mat up, I know where that actually goes. Okay, and I had a couple more things I want to clean up on this. When I went over with the white highlight, some of those lines kind of got lost there. And then this was an area that, there we go, that was missing altogether. And this was supposed to come down that way. And I'm really pushing hard with this pencil now. These have more of a waxy feel than, like, watercolor pencils feel more dry to me, whereas the Inktense have like a waxy almost feel to them. Let's clean up these edges. I've got to push hard to keep those clean edges. If I'm using a light hand, it just ends up being a little bit more grainy gritty. And I don't care if there's a bit on there that has the grain, but I want it to be clean. Okay. Oh, I love this. Okay, let me show you on this camera. Oh, this might be too bright. We'll see. So let's see if you can see this shimmer. This camera's kind of overexposed with how bright that is. Let's turn that down some. Hold on, I need to turn this one down too because it doesn't want to hook up to my Stream Deck for some reason, so I have to manually. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. That is what I meant to do. You are blinding me. Okay, let's see if that looks better. It looks, it's darker in person. It's looking, I think my lights are still just too bright. Let's pull, it's not even, that one's not even that bright. This one I think is still a little out of control. Actually, do I even need you on anymore? Yes. Let's see if I can kind of, a little bit. There's the shimmer. When whoever wins this, when you see this in person, that shimmer is like, it just makes it look so fancy. It doesn't really, I don't know. It's not really showing, at least from my end. I can't see it well. And it looks a little bit darker to me than what it looks on that camera. It actually is fairly accurate on this one. Well, yeah, that one's probably closer. Although I think this is zoomed in too much. Let me fix this. It actually is closer. It's just a little bit more blurry. Let's see if I can get to where you can see the shimmer a bit. Kinda. Nothing, yeah, it is just hard to get that shimmer to show on these cameras. But there it is. There's the finished one. Where did my mat go? And then, of course, matted. You're looking at that. Oh, he's so cute. Man, I wish I could capture that gold in person, or, you know, what that looks like in person better, because that looks really nice. Okay, so I will be going over your questions, and I had a couple of things I wanted to rant about. Well, one thing to rant, I want to show you my studio first. That's not the rant. That's actually very happy. I mean, my back wants to rant about the work I've been putting into the studio, but okay, lid, go on. These are my little distilled water jars. There we go. Let's clean up my mess a little bit so I don't start knocking stuff over. Yeah, that's probably good enough. Okay, So the first thing I want to do is show you the studio. So I'm going to show you the video. This is in the daylight and it looks way better at night, but I didn't have the camera out to really film that. So you're going to get the daytime one. So you can see Dragon's Cage, the window that I haven't done yet, the goldfish window I just finished. There's the new kitchen island. And back there, I'll show you closer, the towel racks with the S-hooks holding the paint. This is the whole studio, what it is now. There's the towel hooks. I got a double barred one so that I can put more paint on there. So that is so convenient. There's the kitchen island. Everything is really bright because it's daytime there. And the windows that I have so far, you can see my camera is having issues with the exposure, but there you go. So that is, whoops, let me stop that. That is the studio so far. It looks so much better at night though with the lights and stuff. It's so nice. I'll give you a close-up of the way that I've got the cameras and how I've organized the drawers where I've got everything stored later once I do the actual video. But yeah, that is what I've been working on. This is why I haven't had any really elaborate, I guess, like detailed, busy type work on Patreon since the Collie, because I've been doing this like all my time. It takes 5 days start to finish to do one of those windows, to design it, to build the frame that I use, to put the plastic sheeting on it, then the artwork, like it's a lot. So, and I sit on the floor hunched over like, I don't know, a troll under the bridge, because that's how I imagine trolls under the bridge do their work. So yeah, it's been a lot, but one last window will be done this weekend, and then I'm doing something surreal. It will be an acrylic, it will be surreal is the next plan for that, but I'm really excited about that. For the gallery glass windows, I will be uploading the line art I didn't record it, but I've got the line art for you guys because it's just paint by number essentially, since I showed you the other video how to use gallery glass. So for members, you will have the line art for the seahorse and the goldfish. You can use it exactly. You can modify it to whatever project you want to do. So that is coming. We have Tessa said for your $5 super chat for the artwork on your studio. Beautiful. Thank you. Oh, crap. You guys heard. Their ears are popped up because I said super chat and they're looking at me. Yeah, fine. Come here. You can have a super chat. You get my super chat. Come. You want it? You were looking at me, so then I felt guilty because I said it too loud. I should have spelled it. There, that was too chompy. Easy. That was much nicer. Thank you so much, Tessa. Boys, go lay down. Lay down. That's it. Down. It wasn't even yours. It was, I can't even say the word. That one was for me, and you just, you stole it. So there we go. Yeah, I've got a video for those of you on Patreon. That video is already up on the first window, how to use it. And it's not so much like a paint along, because what I did is super easy. It is time consuming, but it is very, very easy. So it's a video showing you the techniques, and then you can do it on whatever project you want. I provided a simple basic idea, design, and then you can, of course, mine are big. Don't do something that big for your first one. Gibson, lay down. So yeah, that's over there for Patreon, but I will be making some YouTube videos as well for that. So that will be coming. I have a lot of editing I need to do for YouTube videos. I'm behind. One of the things I wanted to rant about. So I am in a art group. It's like a beginner acrylic painting group, because sometimes I give tips. Let's see. And somebody left a comment. They posted a thing asking, where is it? Screenshots, do I have it? Pretty sure, unless I screenshot it on my computer, which isn't a big deal because I would remember what I said. Yeah, I probably just screenshot it on my other computer, so it's not a big deal. But what this thread was people were posting photos of their artwork. Now, mind you, these were beginners, so it was actually kind of funny to have people telling them they thought it was worth like $15, and it's like, yeah, that's probably accurate, because they were beginners. Like, I mean, painted it with your feet level beginners. That doesn't mean they're not going to be amazing, if they would stop following beginner lessons anyway. But one person, they were kind of getting an idea of pricing and artwork and how much, beginner stuff would be. one person posted, and I've heard this before, so it's not just Miss Linda who said this. She said something about how I feel that if you are making money off your art, you lose creativity, or the art loses creativity because you're trying to make a living off of it. That's about the stupidest thing. I mean, okay, no, I've heard a lot of stupid things lately. Watch the news. But I'm like, are you freaking, like, really? In what world? So let's use me as an example. I do art full time, which means my mind is always on art, the next project. What am I going to paint or draw? Thinking about art. I have created, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours have gone into my art, which means I have the skill level, because of the amount of time I put into it, the skill level to put whatever idea I have on paper successfully, versus somebody who is a hobby artist. And there's nothing wrong with being a hobby artist, but let's be realistic. They're not usually going to have the amount of time that a professional artist has put into the work. And I've seen hobby artists who are just as good as professionals, so that can, there's something to that. But the reality is, I have put so much time into my work because I do this for a living, because I no longer have to work as a receptionist or a housekeeper. I don't know which job I hated worse. At least if I was a housekeeper, I could listen to headphones, but housekeeper, I don't know why I want to keep adding an L in there. But the idea of, if you make money off your art, it's not as good because you're trying to appease to the masses. No, I just produce so much artwork that I can produce stuff. Like in my case, I do, and I've talked about this before because I've got to get lessons for Patreon. I do produce more wildlife work than I probably would on my own. I love painting wildlife though, and every single wildlife that just normal photorealistic wildlife art, that is perfecting my skill that much more. I'm constantly in practice of that. So it's a value too. But then everything that I've learned with that, I now am over here applying it to my surrealism as well. So when you've got the skill level to match your creativity and your creative ideas, and then your mind is constantly thinking about creativity, thinking about your next project because you're like, this is what you do for a living. The idea, if anybody ever tells you that trying to sell your art means the art isn't as good, and somebody will. Like I see, there's a podcast, like a political podcast I watch sometimes, and there's a guy on it who has done way too many illegal substances and has kind of fried his brain. But I remember him going off one time about how artists shouldn't make money off of it, like they should do it for free for the love of art. And I've heard that before. You should do it for the love of art. Why? You want me to produce something for free for other people, but not be able to support myself doing it? I don't know what kind of a society you want to live in, but I want to be paid for the work that I do. So yeah, it was kind of, I had so many other comments that are inappropriate to respond to that. You're going to hear people say that and it's just not true. The reality is, the artists who are doing it professionally, we're probably doing it because we got good enough to do it professionally, but not in all cases. But we've all seen a banana taped to a wall. But it's just funny that people think not making money off your art means you would be better at it. That is the most backwards. Like, if somebody felt they wanted to be a doctor, I want the doctor who's making the best, like that can demand the most money is probably the best, because there's a demand for his services. And it's the same thing with art. The idea of this, everyone should have it for, oh my God, it is just insane. And you are absolutely going to, yeah, what Rebecca said, art supplies are expensive. So you want me to work at McDonald's, or in my case, I was working as a housekeeper and I was working as a receptionist in an animal hospital. You want me to do that to pay for my supplies so that I can give the art to you? Do you work for free? Probably not, or maybe you think that is the case and you don't want to work, and that's why you think things should be handed to you. There's words for that. But yeah, it's very crazy, and you will hear this inevitably. If you have not already, it is going to happen. And these people are just, well, like the person on that podcast did way too many illicit drugs, or illegal substances, we'll say. So anyway, just kind of a rant. And it's funny because this was an older woman who said that. This is a very common idea, that if you are not doing it simply for the love, that your art isn't as good. My art, when I started charging more, because I could charge more because it was better. Those two things kind of went hand in hand. I built a name for myself. My art was getting better because I was doing more of it. It all gets better together. All those things kind of scale evenly together. So anyway, there's my rant that just, when I read that, I was like, I responded to her. I was like, it's the opposite because I work full time doing this, I'm going to be better than the average person because I have more time to put into it. So yeah, kind of crazy. Anyway, there's that rant. Let's go ahead and answer the questions. So the first one, oh, good, she just responded. Let me see. I have one that came from Teresa. Come on, load. Why doesn't the photo want to load? So the collie, oh, this is looking so good. But also I can see the problem. Okay, so let me send this to myself really quick. I'm going to save this. I'm going to email it to myself because I want to show you guys. Teresa, you did not give me permission to do this and show everyone live, but that is what's about to happen. Also, for those of you on Patreon, for $9 or more a month, I'm going to be opening up critiques. Next Wednesday will be a art critique live stream, so I will be opening that up. So watch for that over on Patreon. I'll be giving you instructions on how to submit. I just emailed myself nothing. That was genius. Wait, did I? What did I just send? Yeah, I'm a freaking genius. Attach file this time. Images. Oh, this week. Let's do that. You. Okay, so what is happening here? And let me upload. I knew I should have left this on here. I'm going to upload two things really quick. So this is almost a critique, but I'm going to explain what's going wrong. It's what I suspected. Browse. Oh, mine is actually not the finished one. Dang it. Okay, so it's not going to be mine, but I can grab Teresa's. So if you guys remember, there's a collie and colored pencil that I recently did. That lesson is over on Patreon for members. And the question, I'll read Teresa's question in a moment, but I'm going to show you where she's at so far on this so you can see. Whoops, whatever I was dragging is not what I meant to do. Shrink. Okay, so here's where Teresa is at. Now, what she said is, let's see, I'm doing George the Collie, and on the light fur around the eyes and muzzle, after putting the layers and OMS, the last steps were the white fur highlights. My white is not showing well. Nothing is as clear as yours. How do I make the white more visible? OMS is completely dry, so that's not the issue. So what's happening is her darks weren't dark enough. She did not go as dark as what I did on the base layers, and that is why when you go on top of it with the white's not really showing up because we're missing some contrast there. And that's all it is. If you're too light and you put light on it, it's not going to be as high contrast as if you're I would rather it be a little too dark and then lighten that up. The other thing that you can do, if there is too much pencil, this doesn't look to be the case. And I know Teresa, because I remember her. She was one of my in-person students years ago. Teresa has a tendency to use almost too light of a hand. She's very, very careful, very delicate about layering it. She could get away with putting a little bit more pressure on her pencil. So I know that that is not likely the issue for her here. I don't remember anything, so it's weird to me that I remember. But what's likely happening is her dark area. So she's talking about the tan part around the muzzle, the eyes, that area. If it's not dark enough, when you go on top with white highlights, there's nothing for it to show up. There's just no contrast. It doesn't show up. That is why that's happening. Now, you could use Touch-Up Texture Titanium White and put some highlights that way and paint them on if you really wanted to. But really, if it were me, I would erase the areas that you tried to put some of the white, just kind of lightly. Use the Faber-Castell Perfection Eraser. Do I have one over here? No, because I cleaned, which means I lost half of what I own, or organized. But you could take a Faber-Castell Perfection eraser and lift some of that up a little bit if there's too much pencil on the paper at this point. But knowing Teresa, chances are she's gonna just go right on top of this because she does work in really, really light layers. She's very careful, which gives her the ability to go back and correct stuff like this easier. So I would just go through and darken it up a little bit more. I probably would do the eraser, erase some of it though, so that the paper does have a lot of tooth to it, and then go ahead and go on top. The only way that would probably be an issue here is if she was working on Bristol vellum, because Bristol vellum is too smooth and you just don't get, like, if paper is too smooth, you can't get enough layers on it, and it does not work for my techniques. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the problem, is that the tan is just not quite dark enough yet. So that is my guess. Okay, let's get that out. So now let's go ahead and answer your questions. Okay, so first we have from Fly Me to the Moon said, I'm looking for a new easel. What did you get? Is there any easel that doesn't overhang the painting, like, just clamp on the other end? There are easels that you can attach to like the back end of the canvas, but that's not what I did. What I have is a, called Best Richardson, RICHESON art.com, bestrichesonart.com. And it's got like a crank, it's an H-frame, a double, it's actually got two on there. It's got multiple areas that I can remove, the part that kind of clamps on and locks it on the top. I have mine up above. Actually, I can move this now and show you. Let's do this. Let's see if I can do this without messing everything up. Okay, we're done with the art, so I don't really need that attached. Okay, no one get too sick about what I just did. So this is my easel. Yes, it is that big, but it's kind of a double. I've got a tray here that holds my my paintbrushes. I think you're supposed to put water in it, but you can't really see, it's too dark. But it's all, yeah, that's too dark, you can't see. But yeah, H-frame, double, and those are the things up top that can clip on. I don't use those, but they are an option for me. Actually, sometimes I do use that. That's not true. Sometimes I do lock my work in. But anyway, yeah, bestrichesson.com. God, I spent, was that one like $1,200, $1,000? I don't know, a ridiculous amount of money. It was not a budget easel. But the thing is, they have, my chair's falling apart. They have budget easels for like $150 or even under. Medeen, M-A-D-E-E-N. There's a lot of them. In a normal H-frame easel, you don't have to have the double. I just thought it was fancy, and I was feeling special. So, and I had the funds at the time. Well, I saved up for them, but I was able to save up. So, you know, that was before the economy crashed. So that says the person who just got a kitchen island. Maybe I shouldn't complain. That is, you can get really decent easels. Amazon carries them, H-frame easels for like, I've seen them range between $120 to $165 for ones that I liked that I would buy for myself. So you've got a huge range there. The Medeen, whatever, those look nice to me. So I think that those would be a good option, unless you want to get fancy. And then this one is bestrichesonart.com, it says on it. Let's see, Baby Panda said, can you make an in-depth video introducing us all to your animals, even the creepy ones, for a time when you run out of questions for the art after class? Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, I should do that. One of these days I will do that. Not This Gamma said, hi Lisa, looking forward to seeing the new studio. Would love a video tour sometime. So I'm actually making a whole video, like it's going to be a whole tour. It's just taking me months to do it because I still have to do the lighting in here. I have to get I say wiring, but that makes it sound like I know anything about being an electrician, and that's not what I'm doing. It's just cable management is what I need to do. All the cable management, yeah, I've got all of that to do still. And what else? Oh, the dart frogs are getting a huge tank upgrade. And then I think I'll be ready to do the whole studio. Then I think I'm done-ish. Also, if you thank you for the reminder, Nick. If you have not already signed up for Patreon, for as little as $6 a month, you get access to all of my longer videos. So these gallery glass, if you want early access to that, patrons have it. You've already got the instructions on how to do that. Over there, you get access to our Discord. So like a lot of us, we chat on a daily basis over on Discord. You can share your sketchbook work. We've got sketchbook prompts, a daily prompt that I do every month now for you guys. We've got, oh, it's almost time to do the next one. We've got, what else do we have over there? So you've got your videos. Depending on which tier you sign up on, there's different rewards. But for the lowest one, it's $6 a month. You get access to all 400 of my lessons, plus new ones almost every week, a little bit less often because I've been making the lessons longer, which means I can't get as many done because they're like 2 hours instead of 1 hour. So you're getting as many hours, that's for sure. Actually, you're getting more hours. But yeah, check that out, patreon.com/Lachri. And because I've been doing this for so long, the lessons I've been uploading over there since the end of 2014. So we're talking almost 10 years worth of videos, worth of lessons that you get instant access to. And starting now with newer projects, I am providing you guys with the line art, thanks to Fly Me to the Moon, who finally convinced me that it was worth it to you to provide that. But I still think you should trace your reference photo versus the line art whenever possible. Beth said, what inspired you to do surrealism? I just always liked it. Every time I saw somebody else do it, it's like, that is cool. I like weird things, like unexpected. That's something that you just, I don't know. It just speaks to me. That sounds really floofy, but whatever. It does. There are voices in my head. Moody and the artist said, if acrylics don't have pigment info, should I assume it's not Lightfast? It's the own brand of a store in the UK and Ireland. They are enjoyable to use, affordable, and easy to find, but no info. Yeah. Anyone who has done Lightfast testing is going to be bragging about that, screaming about it from the rooftop because it is expensive. On the other hand, with acrylic paint, it's not as big of a deal. If you're selling it, yes, I would not use it for anything you're selling on. If you cannot find Lightfast information, I do not feel that it is fair to the buyer for you to sell it, unless you're doing what I did with the Inktense and letting people know, hey, it's Inktense, not all Lightfast. Put it behind UV glass, it may still fade. I mean, it's a $65 or $80, whatever it sells for. Like, I'm not selling it for $3,000 here, but I would think if you're going to use that and you're going to sell it, you need to educate your buyer that these colors are going to fade. Some of those, even with acrylics, are going to fade, especially the more light that it's exposed to. So being in the UK, you're not getting the same amount of sun as I am here in Texas, which is a bonus for the art. But if you're shipping it, you run into that. So yeah, I wouldn't do it on anything I was selling. Stuff for yourself, stuff for your sketchbook, yeah, fine, use whatever. But if you are selling it, I think that you need to hold yourself to a different standard and get the more expensive stuff. But if you're still in the beginning learning stage, then use whatever you want. What ends up happening, though, is usually it doesn't take us very long before people start going, oh, I want to buy that. Do you want to take the time to explain to that person, by the way, this isn't Lightfast? I mean, maybe they're only paying $75 for it and they don't really care if it fades in 5 years, 10 years, whatever. Again, acrylics aren't as prone to fading as watercolor, colored pencil, Inktense. Any of the water on or water soluble media on paper, those tend to have more issues with lightfastness, or even not water soluble, colored pencil too. But it is still a concern. And the thing with acrylics too, you're not going to frame that behind UV glass. It's supposed to breathe. The canvas should breathe. So you wouldn't be putting it behind UV glass. That makes it a little bit more iffy, but I don't know. Those are things to consider. You've got to figure out what you're comfortable with. Okay. Ruby Hart said, I'm so happy to watch you painting the background as I've been wanting to see how it's done. Never sure if painting the background or foreground first is best. I like in most cases to paint the background first because it's easier. Like when I do the foreground, that's going to have more detail. So if I did the foreground first and then I painted the background and I have to be a little bit messier to try to get it to be smooth and I screw up the foreground, now I have to go back and fix that. So I just find it to always be easier to do the background and work my way forward. And acrylic painting, like just about everything I do that on. Colored pencil is one that it doesn't really matter, but I still usually do the background first just because it's my least favorite part and I want to get it out of the way. Let's see. Fly Me to the Moon said, let's stay with Inktense and do a sea turtle next week. Well, next week is going to be the critique for Patreon. sea turtle. So if I did a stylized sea turtle, no problem. I can do that on a live stream. If I do a realistic one, there's not a chance, like it would take too long. So unless it was just like maybe a close-up of the face. But yeah, we need to do that soon. But if I do like more stylized, like what I did on the Inktense 10, then I could do part of it, not the whole thing in an hour, that's for sure. Fly Me to the Moon said, can you flick with golden airbrush paint? Yeah, I could flick, like when I flicked the paint on here, I could have done that with white acrylic, probably would have been an easier way to go now that I think about it. Yeah, that would have definitely been easier because it's not translucent, so you can see where it's landing. But yeah, golden airbrush paint would certainly work. Baby Panda said, no, Lisa, we don't mind watching you kiss the pups. In fact, we love it. Keep it up. You won't believe how many complaints I will get about they're watching to learn, not for dogs, not for animals, not for whatever. Yeah, people are people-y. Let's see. Do you have a favorite brand of watercolor to use? So I do. I use Schmincke, but I should also point out I've not used the other things, like besides Prang and what was the other one? Crayola. So I don't have a huge sample size there. I talked to a friend of mine who's excellent with watercolor and asked her what she liked. She said Schmincke, and that is what I use. Although Clark Fine Art sent me, I still have them over here. Was it Daniel Smith? Who was it? Was it Daniel? I haven't even used them yet. She made me, want to see, actually, because I can get to it easily and quickly. Look at this cute little palette she made me like over a year ago, 2 years ago, with little, look at how much work she put into this. You guys should check out her channel. Link is in the video description. But she made me this little, it's Christmassy because she sent it to me for Christmas. But she made me a little palette of all of these watercolors. She has what it looks like on black paper or white paper. Yep, Daniel Smith watercolors. She notes, I mean, she puts so much time into this. I think that's part of why I don't want to use it. I don't want to mess it up. Like, I just like having this. It's one of my treasures. I'm a dork. But yeah, so anyway, point is I need to use those. I know those are supposed to be really good. I just haven't used them yet. So I'm not going to say that Schmincke is the best. You should absolutely, but I know it's considered one of the best. It's the only one I've really used of professional quality. And I love them so much. Although, well, those and that gold paint, what was it, the aqua bronze? That is amazing. Patty said, can you use Inktense as an underpainting for pastels? Would you need cold pressed paper? Depends on how much you thin it. I wouldn't. I would use watercolor over Inktense. Because Inktense, one, again, you're back to your, we've got some Lightfast things. It's easier to get Lightfast colors with watercolor, just because they're actually tested for that. No, Inktense did test theirs, so that's not true. But anyway. How do I describe it? Stuff doesn't stick to it well. Like the Inktense pencil sticks okay because it has this waxy feel to it, but watercolor, regular pencils, colored pencils just don't stick super, super well to the Inktense. So they kind of do, but not great. I would go with watercolor if you've got that as an option. I mean, play around with it, try it. It's not an issue of not being archival. I mean, depending on whether or not the colors you're using are Lightfast, but I would go with watercolor just because the way it soaks into the paper, it's almost like Inktense sits on top, whereas the watercolor soaks in more, leaving more tooth of the paper. I don't know if that's the way to describe it, but that's kind of what it feels like. Okay. Art of Raven D said, those people who say you lose creativity if you make a living, sell art, are those type of people who don't think artists should be paid. Exactly. It's such a weird concept. Like, if I do it more, wouldn't that mean I was better at it? Like, because creativity, it's a muscle that you have to exercise. If you're not coming up with new ideas, like you haven't painted in a while, you guys have experienced this. You've not painted in a while and you sit down and you're like, I don't know what I want to do. That is the normal feeling for everybody. The longer it's been, the harder it is to come up with an idea. When you paint daily, when you are constantly coming up with ideas, it's like it snowballs and you've got more ideas and more, it just constantly more ideas the more you do it. So this idea of somebody who doesn't do it for a living would be less creative is the most like swamp water backwards. What are you talking about? Yeah. And I think that too, a lot of people do it to make themselves feel better because when somebody wants to point out that your art is terrible, but you go and look at theirs and you're like, whoa, you painted that with your feet and your butt. I don't know why you are telling the rest of us that our work is not good, because but. So yeah, it seems to be the same people who are judgy on the rest of us. It's like, if you actually knew anything about art, you would know that wasn't true. It's kind of a huge red flag of, I know nothing about art, are the types that it would say something like that. Let's see. Art of Raven D said, I saw it a meme. Stop trying to make everyone happy. You're not tequila. If people aren't happy about the dogs, oh well, it's your stream. Yeah, that's pretty much my attitude. But also, I want to be respectful of your time and try to get to the art as much as possible. Let's see. Brittany Daniel said, when some people found out some of the Daniel Smith watercolor paints, specifically the gemstone colors, weren't light fast, Daniel Smith himself didn't care himself. It's a bit of an issue. Audrey Fuller said, if you're trying to sell your art and it doesn't sell, should you lower your prices? Okay, that's actually a good question, and it's a complicated one. It depends. Were you asking too much, or have you not found the right buyer yet? You've got to figure out which boat you're in. I have a painting, I've got paintings that I've had on my website that may have been there for 10 years, 12 years, and they've not sold. I'm not lowering my price because I know they can sell for that much because I have sold them for that much. And the right buyer just hasn't seen it that it speaks to that person yet. Simple as that. And I would rather not give them away for lower. The negative about lowering prices, and I don't like to, I've done some art sales because our economy sucks, but we need to do what we need to do. But see me on OnlyFans. I'm kidding. Totally kidding. But I was just painting on OnlyFans, I swear. I'm just kidding. I don't even have an account there. No, I think I'm funnier than I really am. Where was I going with that? What was I even rambling about? I totally lost my train of thought because I ran too far with that one. Selling prices. So I have done sales, but I feel kind of dirty doing it. And here's the problem with doing when you lower your prices. Let's say somebody bought a painting from me for $2,000. And I'm like, but I can't sell anything else for $2,000. So I'm going to only sell my stuff for the same price, same quality, for $1,000. You just lowered the value of your art, and the person who paid $2,000 probably not going to be happy about that. You devalued your own work. So if you have been selling them for higher and they're just not selling now, I would consider more getting them in front of the right people. But if nothing is selling at the price you're asking, chances are you are a little bit reaching for the stars too much there. The reality is, and I did this, I had a painting. I'll use myself as an example. I was a newer artist. And I'm thinking, okay, this is a 24 by 36 inch and it's framed, it's got a nice frame, and I want $500 minimum. I know it should be worth $1,000, I'll take $500. And I go to the art gallery that I was selling my stuff with, and then she's like, really? Okay. And she tried talking me into lowering. No, I know it's worth that much. You know what didn't sell? The things that I didn't listen to the lady who knew what she was talking about on. Really, the stuff that was selling for like $75, now I'm thinking I should be selling for, it's a big painting, big canvas, it's worth more. I wasn't any good yet. Yet being the key word, that doesn't mean I wouldn't get there. It means I wasn't there yet. And my expectations, I was overvaluing the work because I was so proud of it, which was good. I'm glad I was proud of it because it kept me going, it kept me motivated. But I was delusional because, teenage girl, I was 19. No, I was 20. I was 21 at the time. 20. I don't know. Close enough to teenage that I can use the excuse teenage girls don't think. So yeah, I was definitely delusional on how much, and that's normal for a new artist. And I think we get overly emotionally attached to our work, especially in the beginning. At this point, I have painted so many thousands of things, like I'm not as emotionally attached to things as I used to be. But when I only created 5 things, those 5 things were priceless. What do you mean you're not going to pay me $1,000 for the thing I painted with my butt, like the other person? So I was talking about earlier. Yeah, you've got to figure out where you are in that scenario. If you are newer, you've only been painting for maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, yeah, your prices may be higher because you may be doing the delusional teenage girl thing I was doing than what they're really worth, and that is a normal thing. But if you have sold them for higher and now you're just having a hard time, our economy sucks. We really need to get it in front of the right person. There's so many elements of what's going on to like, there's no one straight answer. But yeah, I would go by, if you have sold them at a higher price point, I would not lower the price on that. Maybe in that case, because we still need to make a living, offer some smaller things. Like with this, I've got the Seahorse. I started that bidding at $65. I've got a few things on my website that might be $250, whereas my bigger stuff may be, in the thousands, but I've got some lower priced things that are more likely to sell, especially on the internet. It's obviously easier to sell things that are cheaper and smaller. Get some smaller stuff done so you can make money if you knew your more expensive stuff would sell. But again, if it's an issue of a little bit delusional, a little bit overly attached to things, and things never did sell for the price you wanted, then maybe your price does need to come down. So just things that you need to consider there. Let's see. Brittany said, Daniel Smith has been rude to some of his customers after they found out some of his watercolors were Lightfast. Ouch. I don't have a lot of respect for people when they do that. BT92 said, you're back. Missed you. Thank you. I've been here. Well, I haven't been making a lot of edited YouTube videos. I've been trying to make them better, which means I'm not getting stuff done. So yeah, but I've been here. I've been live streaming every Wednesday. No, I was here last week. It was the week before I was sick. And like 3 weeks before that. Let's see. It kind of reminds me, the Daniel Smith thing kind of reminds me of the drama with Holbein and why I won't buy or respect them. Because people keep commenting to me, because I did the review and I shared what they told me on their proprietary, like, we have our own secret way of testing light fastness. We don't use ASTM or Blue Whale. You don't get, I mean, you can do that, but no one's going to respect you except the people who paint with their feet or rears. But it's like, no, that's not true, because I actually know some really amazing artists who use Holbein, so I'm running with that too much. But that excuse is not going to be acceptable to those people or to anybody. So they are, God, they basically blew me off. They wouldn't give me straight answers, and they started getting short with me and snippy. And I shared, there's a video, if you go back and look up Lachri and Holbein, the first, like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes is me explaining that drama with them. And I found out later, they actually have threatened to sue somebody because they didn't like a review or something that they said in a review. You don't get to do that. And from what I heard, when that person contacted the company in Japan, they were like, no, you're fine. There's no problem here. It's an issue with the people here in the US. The people running the US branch are shady and not cool people. And it's like, yeah, I won't buy, I won't promote, I won't do anything with Holbein anymore. I used to use their airbrush paint. Now I switched to Goldens. Goldens I like better. I think they're here in the US. So I'm not paying extra for that, but, or, for shipping and all that. So if I can get it here, that's ideal. Yeah, no, I won't use any of their products because of how they treated me when they thought I was just a customer. Now, they've worked with people that they knew were YouTubers. Oh, completely different experience than me. And the funny thing is, they never reached out to me to be like, oh, here's the Lightfast, because people are saying, oh, you need to update yours because they provided that Lightfast information to this artist. They never did to me. I tried dragging that out of them, and within a month, they're providing it to somebody else. No, they thought I was just a regular customer, and they apparently did not respect regular customers. I have no respect for you then, because I approached them intentionally as a normal customer. I didn't tell them I was doing a review. I just told them, I'm looking for this information, and they blew me off. They were rude and blew me off. They started out really nice, but then they didn't want to keep going with it. So yeah, no, I'm not, I won't use companies like that. Okay. Ruby Heart said, you use a fixative on the final Inktense artwork. A UV protecting spray is a good idea. Do just a light layer. That is what I would recommend. I don't know what mine is. UV protecting clear spray. Try it on a test piece to make sure it doesn't behave badly with the Inktense. But yeah. Dolphin Soul said, is watercolor better on ceramic palette and the need for the clean, dirty water, yet Inktense and others doesn't matter? Or why is watercolor better? I don't know. Watercolor is more emotionally unstable than Inktense, I think. Inktense is just, they're tough. They can handle it. Watercolor is like Prismacolor. I don't know. I'm making things up. I have no idea. I don't know. I'm really not sure. Art by MB said, just got here for the pubs. Good to see everyone. Oh, good timing. Do you guys want, you comfy over there, Wade? You want a last minute super chat? Thank you so much. Back up. Do not drool on my tea. I would not be happy with that. I love you, but not enough to exchange fluids. Easy. Yeah, I'm not letting go of that when you're not being easy. Okay, thank you so much. Don't cough it up. You didn't swallow all the way. Okay, go lay down. You're messing up my rug. Why? How? Why did you fold my rug over? Seriously, cow? Baddest cow. Go lay down, Gibson. Down. He's like, but it's almost 10. We're done now. I want to be set free. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, do we have a winner on the auction? I think, does it still have 3 minutes or is it done? Let's find out. Has 2 minutes and 21 seconds to go. Okay, that is for this guy. He will come in a black mat. He is a 5x7. The overall size in the mat will make him an 8x10, so just your standard 8x10 frame behind UV protecting glass if you can get it. Story time. So, because we've got a couple minutes anyway, I had gotten UV protecting glass at Hobby Lobby before. I would just have them cut the size that I needed, and no problem. I mean, I paid like an extra $20 or something like that. It wasn't bad. So that's how I had displayed my red panda that I had. I gave that to a friend. But anyway, moving on. That is what I used for that one. Is no problem. I went into the Hobby Lobby near me here in Prosper, and I asked their framer, like, do you have the UV protecting glass so you could like upgrade whatever? It's not an option. They don't carry it, or they don't have it anymore. I was like, oh, really? Wow. Do you know where I can get, like, where do I even get that now? I'm thinking it's an expert. It's not something they carry. Therefore, she should have no problem. I don't know, and I wouldn't tell you if I did. F you too. I almost said a C word. But yeah, it was like this woman was such a undesirable individual. Stop trying to restart that computer. Like, you want to update every 5 freaking seconds window. So I just updated you. But yeah, she was just, I was like, I'm sorry, what? And what was funny, that same day, the manager of the store was there and was acting like me looking at frames was inconveniencing her because she was going up and down the aisle. And it's like, these people at that Hobby Lobby were so freaking rude. I mean, I know they don't carry a lot of stuff, but it was so odd because I was being super friendly, super nice, like, you know, hi, how you doing? Because I used to teach out of that there. I taught at Michael's first and then at Hobby Lobby when I moved to Texas for a while. I could not believe how rude that woman, I don't know, if I did, I wouldn't tell you. She could have just said, I don't know, and left it at that. Why would you throw in, and if I knew, I wouldn't tell you, like you, I can't say the C word on, I think I actually can't say it on YouTube, but I won't. Yeah, it was kind of bizarre. Like, it is amazing to me how unprofessional the employees at that store are. I mean, I guess I've had problems at other Hobby Lobbies as well. It surprises me how like horribly rude. Not all of them. The cashiers were usually really cool. It's the people in the frame department, the people running individual departments that I've had more issues from, but I was like, what? Where do I buy my frames from? Well, it used to be Hobby Lobby. Now I just don't buy frames. They used to have like 3 aisles of frames. It was like 2, so one side, next aisle, one side, of just open frames. They have like half of one side of an aisle now. Like, they hardly have anything, and they're always damaged, and yeah, they are just, I'm not happy with much with Hobby Lobby. So I don't know where I'm going to get them moving forward. I guess I would check there, but I'm going to have to look online. I don't know. I mean, I get that they're cheap and that's why they were damaged, but you know, you could get big elaborate frames for, you know, $50, $75. I don't know now. Their prices are insane. Oh, the auction is closed and we have a winner. Who won? I don't think it blocks out the name, so I can't actually see. I'll have to look at the thing later. Okay, well, congratulations to the winner. Thank you for everybody bidding. That really helps because I keep buying more stuff for my art studio. So you are helping me out a lot. Thank you guys so much. Let's see, just saw a technique to mount and varnish colored pencil art. Do you have any thoughts? You know, I've not done that, but Nick has. And I haven't watched the video. I had him send it to me and then I just didn't get to watching it. That was like 2 years ago. Sorry, I shouldn't say that in front of Nick. Nick, I'm irresponsible with the time that you took to link me your video. But Nick has done it. I just haven't. Anyway, have I tried looking in person at art stores like local Dick Blicks for matte? I don't have a local Dick Blicks. I kind of hate you for rubbing it in. But we have, I've bought from Golden State mats forever. I get a big pack of the mats. The mats, that's no problem. I actually get them on Amazon now. So I've been very happy with Golden State mats because I can get the mat, the board, and the backing stuff, and the bag. So that seems to be the best price I've found. But anyway, thank you guys so much. I will see you next week. We are going to be doing the live art critique, so there will be tons of tips. Even if I'm not critiquing your work, it still is really helpful for just get tips that you can apply to your own work. So that will be fun. That is next Wednesday at 8 p.m. And for those of you on Patreon, $9 or more a month, I will be opening that up. If I need to post about it in the next day or two. So that will be coming soon. I think that's it. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for I can't say the word because those boys would know, for the things that you gave me that earned them things that I can't say because, yeah, whatever. We're done. Bye. Thank you. Just kidding. We're not done. Check out the moderators' channels. Links are in the video description. Bye.